Hello and welcome to this ACT webinar where we will be talking about the ACT mentoring scheme, Mentor Me. The running order for the webinar is as follows. The presentation will last approximately 30 to 40 minutes, and then afterwards we'll have time for a Q&A session. You can send in your questions using the chat function, and we'll try to answer as many of these as possible. The webinar is being recorded and will be available on the ACT website after we finish. Now, mentoring is one of the member benefits we provide. To view the full list of member benefits, please go to the ACT website, the membership section of the ACT website, and you'll have a list of all the resources. Now, I will now hand over to today's presenter, Chris Murray. Chris is the co-founder of PLD, a company that specialises in providing mentoring solutions for professional bodies and charities. Chris, over to you.
Thanks, Louise. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining the webinar. Right, okay. Zoe, if we could just move to the next slide, please. Great. Okay. So, in terms of my inputs and parts of the presentation, I'm basically going to talk a little bit about the program, the ACT, the Mentor Me program. I'll also go and show how the software works, so you'll get a view in terms of how the platform works and how you can get the most out of it. And then I'll finish off with just hopefully some helpful hints and tips around mentoring. So in terms of the program, in terms of Mentor Me, what is Mentor Me? So, well, the good news is it is a free member benefit. Anyone who is a member can join, and you can opt to be a mentee, a mentor, or you can be both roles on the program. As a mentee, you can search the platform for available mentors. So you'll be able to come onto the platform, identify the types of support you're looking for, and you'll have access to the bank of mentors on the Mentor Me program. Could have the next slide, please, Zoe. In terms of background to the platform. So the platform was launched in July 2015. There's currently a base of 81 active mentors on the platform. Since the launch of the platform, there's been 339 mentees who have benefited from the service. There are currently 139 relationships going through, so people who are actively involved and benefiting at this moment in time. But we'll see shortly in terms of the profile and the available, what is available in terms of to choose from. But the platform basically supports a number of industry sectors, a number of skills and expertise that you can access, and there's a wide range of mentors covering various different areas of expertise and skills who are available to help you as a mentee. So if we go to the next slide, please, Zoe. So I'm just going to cover quickly some benefits for both mentees and mentors on the program. As a mentee, either starting out on your Treasury career, or it could be several years into it and be approaching a career milestone or a particular situational challenge. Mentoring is a great resource to support you as in your career. There's lots of research written about the benefits of mentoring. for both the mentee, the mentor, and the organisation they're working for. That ranges from increased confidence, increased mental health, increased likelihood of promotion. The benefit you're going to get from the platform is independent advice around your career. So the people who are there as mentors on the platform are experienced in Treasury, and they'll be able to help you as a mentee around your career stages, career navigation. Treasury teams can sometimes be quite small, and it might be difficult to get an internal perspective on a career challenge you might have, or questions around career navigation. So the platform, in effect, gives you access to a much wider knowledge base in terms of gaining sort of that career insights and the career routes that are available to you. Mentors can help you in terms of developing as an individual. So going through the mentoring process and the mentoring journey, as a mentee, you can get a good view in terms of your skills, your expertise, your strengths, your weaknesses, how that sets you up, and what you might need to achieve to move to that next stage of your career. And you'll see, as I mentioned on the platform, there are a number of available areas of expertise and skills to choose from on the platform. So in terms of your involvement as a mentee on the platform, lots of opportunity around skill and expertise transfer. And also, as a mentee, you get the opportunity to expand your own network. So connecting to mentors on the platform, mentors potentially introducing you to their networks if there's something they can't maybe help you with, and they can introduce you to somebody who can. So lots of opportunities as well to increase your network as part of mentoring on the platform. So if we could move to the next slide, please, Zoe. Thanks. So in terms of the benefits to mentors, so the obvious benefit, I suppose, is the sense of giving back to the profession. But as well as the altruistic benefits of mentoring, there are a lot of other ways in which mentors can benefit from the support and the mentoring experience. So the ability not only to develop your mentoring skills, but also to put maybe a new perspective on your career. Meeting mentees through the platform, supporting mentees, will allow you to meet individuals who might be setting out on their career, maybe fresh from university, and they may have new ideas. So professions continually advance, and people who might be maybe either new to the profession or in the early stages of the profession may have come across new ways of doing things. They may have new insights that you as a mentor can also benefit from. You've got the satisfaction, obviously, of helping others in the profession and seeing people develop, seeing somebody who's facing a challenge within their career and being able to give your advice, which sometimes might be quite simple. You may be tweaking somebody's perspective or tweaking the way that somebody is going to approach something, but that in itself could have a major impact in terms of somebody successfully overcoming a career hurdle or another situational challenge that they might be facing within their career. People always look back in terms of people who've helped them develop, and certainly mentors would be sort of similar in that area. So the benefit you will get and feel from seeing people advance. The other thing as well is you have the opportunity to also grow your network. So as you go through the mentoring experience, it may be that you come up against a challenge that your mentee is facing where you need to reach out to your network, maybe make, refresh connections or additional connections so that you can help your mentee with a particular challenge they might be facing. So if we could go to the next slide, please. So in terms of the program and the platform, as Louise mentioned, the mentoring platform can be accessed via the website. The Mentor Me program can be accessed by the website. If you go to membership and the drop down there, you'll find the mentoring program. There'll then be an explanation. So there's a landing page which will explain the program in a little bit more detail, and then you can create your account. So once you're on the home page, you can access the Learn More area. So if we move to the next slide, please, Zoe. So the platform and the way it works. So from the outside of the platform, as you find the home page, click on Learn More, you'll see that there's a series of supporting videos, additional resources that explain mentoring, what it is, how to get the most out of it. Now, some mentees, some mentors, you may have experience of being on other programs, but certainly, the resources are there at each stage of the user journey to support both mentee, mentor, whether videos are also supporting guidelines. So you'll find either more insight into a particular area or a process that you can follow. So I tend to come across either through webinars like this, or where we're meeting a group of mentors, is that the resources are quite simple. They're intuitive to use, but they do give you a process that you can use as mentee and mentor for the time you're together. So from the homepage, the resources will introduce the program, how to get the most out of it. Then if we go to the next slide, please, Zoe. When you come in to the platform, so initially you'll be asked in terms of the role you want to take. So as I mentioned before, you can be mentee, you can be mentor, you can be both roles on the platform. When you register your account and you come into the software, the resources will change a little bit. So they'll start to become role specific. So if you're registering as a mentee, the resources that you see when you're on board will be around your role as mentee. The videos, when you come into the software, will start to explain how to use the platform. So there's all the videos are quite bite-sized, so generally no longer than a minute and a half, 2 minutes, but they'll give you a good appreciation as to the software user journey, how to use the platform. And again, you've got additional supporting resources at this stage. And then the resources from the mentee perspective, for example, will start to get the mentee to think about the goals you want to try and achieve on the platform. So it's really good practice if you can start to think about goals you would like to try and achieve, try and articulate those. You'll see later on that you can set goals with your mentor on the platform. So you've both got an idea around what you're looking to achieve. You can then try and decide in terms of how much time you'll be able to spend on that together and what success looks like at the end of the mentoring relationship. So from this point, you can access all the resources on the platform, so you can browse through the resources that are available, but they'll also be presented to you at the appropriate point of the user journey. So you can look at them straight away, but they will come up at the relevant point of the user journey. So if we go to the next slide, please, Zoe. So your next action as both a mentee and a mentor is to create a profile. Now, the profile won't take you long to complete. It serves two purposes for the mentee. So the first is you're imparting just a little bit of information around your role, your background, because when you send your when you find a mentor, it's the information on your profile that the mentor will get to see, so that helps them basically understand how they can best support you. And then you make some choices. So as I mentioned before, I think there are 27 different areas of skills and expertise. Some relate to Treasury, others are sort of like wider core skills that you can choose from. Once you make those choices, if we move to the next slide, please, Zoe. You'll be presented as a mentee with the list of mentors who best meet your development requirements. So the areas of skills and expertise that you have looking for supports with, the platform will bring back the most relevant mentors to support you. You can, if we go to the next slide, please, Zoe. You can, at this stage, start to look at the different profiles on the platform. You can ask a question if you want to. So from a mentee's perspective, there might be something on the mentor's profile you just want to check out before you send a request. So you can ask questions, as can the mentor. So once you get the request as a mentor, you can ask questions before you decide to accept the request. Mentees can edit their details as well to make their request a little bit more specific to the mentor they're sending the request to. Once you send the request, the platform works on a series of engagement emails. So you as a mentor will get an email to let you know you've got a mentoring request, meeting requests, that type of thing. So you don't have to keep going back into the software to find out what's going on. You'll get alerts when you've got a relevant message or you've got a mentoring proposal. So if we go to the next slide, please, Zoe. So once you have accepted the request as a mentor and a mentee, that will then start to open up the resources on the platform. So again, for the mentor, the resources are designed for people who might be new to mentoring or people who are maybe more experienced mentors, yet they are looking for additional insight or a process that you can use. So the platform presents you quite a three-stage process that you can run through with your mentee, different sort of like guides that you can use, prompts around question sets, listening skills, questioning skills, how to give effective feedback. Again, they're all quite bite-sized in nature with additional PDFs that give further insight if you require it. So from the mentee's perspective, there are a couple of additional quite simple diagnostic resources you can use on the platform that will start to help you think about where you are in your career, any situational challenge you might be facing. So you can create your own personal SWOT analysis on the platform. You can then use a model that is called the G-STAR model that will prompt you around the goals you're hoping to achieve. And then working with your mentor, you can set some clear goals. If you choose to, you'll find that the software, all that is available for you. The resources are available for you, but also, you can simply just reach out, connect with someone, and you can, between mentee and mentor, you can decide how you want to proceed. So the resources, the process is all there for you, but it's not compulsory. So if we could go to the next slide, please. So once you are in a relationship, once you've connected mentee and mentor, that will open up this dashboard. So it's sort of like your home page on the platform, really, which will show you the different mentoring relationships you might be in. So if you're a mentor and you've got more than one mentee, there'll be individual relationships and sessions on your dashboard. Now, from here, You can, if you choose to, you can organize everything around your mentoring journey. So your messages, you can set up your meetings and your sessions. So let's say once you've set your goals and you decide, or you feel it might take 4 or 5 sessions to get to where you need to be, you can set those up. You can pre-schedule them. The platform has integrated video. So yeah, absolutely, you can go off and use Zoom, you can use Teams, but if you don't want to do that, you can connect and have your meetings through the platform's proprietary video service. Again, you've got your goals, you've got all your resources as well. So at any point you can access the resources for your role. You've got a help section as well, which will give frequently asked questions. You can contact the program administrator as well from the help section if you've got any questions for the Mentor Me program administrator. So Zoe, if we try the next slide, we'll go to the next slide, please. So that's the software and how it works. And it's just a quick run through the software, but I suppose, you know, hopefully if you've used the platform or when you get to use the platform, you'll hopefully find it's quite intuitive. It's easy to use. The information is quite accessible on the platform. So I thought I'd just close off for people really, you know, who might be thinking about mentoring for the first time, just some hopefully helpful tips. So first, you know, in terms of building a relationship, so as to mentee and mentor, when you connect on the platform and you get ready and you plan that first meeting, my advice would be to try and make that meeting a little bit more informal. So a little bit more of a relaxed first meeting where from the mentor's perspective, you can start. So I think you can listen to the mentee, what they're hoping to achieve, the goals they're hoping to achieve as part of the mentoring relationship. And in having that conversation, listening to your mentee, you can basically help shape those goals in a little bit more of a relaxed first meeting as you introduce each other, get a little bit of each other's backgrounds. In terms of listening, so from the mentor's perspective, it's always important to you know, listen up to feeling the pressure to talk and you know, impart experience straight away. Listening to the mentee will allow you as a mentor to start to think about your own experience, and from that experience, how you feel that experience might be best applied to the situation. From the mentee's perspective, again, important to listen to advice and perspectives that the mentor is giving, take notes as well. Again, if you want to use the platform for that, there is an area on the platform where you can record your notes, you can agree what you're going to do in terms of next steps, so everything's in one place. Questioning and understanding, so from a mentor's perspective, you should feel confident in asking you know, pertinent, sometimes potentially searching questions of the mentee, so that they can start to, you know, self-reflect and look to make sure that the goals they're trying to achieve really are what is going to set them up for success, and really start to think about the situation that they're in and how they're best going to move forward. Giving and receiving feedback. Again, as a mentor, there'll become an appropriate point in the relationship where you know, it is appropriate to give feedback. As always, that feedback should be based on examples you have seen through the time you've spent with your mentee. Feedback should always be balanced. So recommendation would be, you know, concentrate on the strengths you've seen from your mentee, make them aware of that, as well as going through any areas of development you think are appropriate. Being prepared to act on what has agreed. So as a mentee, the way the platform works, the way the connections work on the platform, your mentor will be there and is giving their support to you. So it's important to take notes, ensure that if you have agreed to complete actions before you meet again, that you've diarised time to complete those actions, so that when you next meet, your mentor knows that you're serious about the time you're spending together and the progress you're making. And then finally, closing the relationship. So at a point in time, either you've completed the goals you set out to complete together, or you've got to a point where you feel that you can go no further. So you've achieved a good proportion of the goals you set out to achieve, but that, in terms of the episode, you can't really go any further. It's a point to bring it to a close. Now, that doesn't mean, you, as mentioned before, you're now part of each other's networks, you stay in contact, but from a point of bringing the mentoring relationship to an end, it's important to close that out. You can do that on the platform, and then you can feed back to the Mentor Me administrator around progress you've made, what you've achieved, any hints and tips for the program. So that's where that's where I'm going to finish now. So I'm going to hand back to Louise, and I think we're going to Louise take any questions.
Yes, thank you so much, Chris. That's really helpful. There were three things I wanted to pick up on that. One was to do with listening and this feeling around active listening. So sometimes we just sit there and we have so much going on. There might be music in the background. We might be thinking about something that's happening, in an hour's time, or that you're going to put your supper on for your children or whatever. But I just wanted to flag this idea of how to listen. So active listening, and we do have resources on the ACT website on how to listen actively. The point of that is to really take that time, if you're going to have those conversations with your mentor or mentee, to really listen to what they're saying and to respond to what they're saying, and to kind of not preempt what they're going to do, but really think, okay, so this is what they're saying to me, so this is their specific issue, or this is how I will respond to their specific question. So I just wanted to flag active listening, because I think that's so important. Secondly, you mentioned that it was a two-way relationship, and I just wanted to say absolutely. So there are benefits to the mentor and to the mentee, but it really is about you kind of learning from each other and developing that relationship so that you can support each other, both for the mentor and for the mentee. I've had lots of mentors who've come back to me to say they've learned things from the sessions they've had, because they simply didn't think about something in the way that the mentee had thought about it. They just had never factored that in. So it really is a two-way process. And the final thing I just wanted to flag from what you had said was that actually one of the wonderful things about having a mentoring relationship is that you do kind of have sessions, and you have time in between the sessions. And the feedback I've had from people is that it really helps them to focus in on what they need to do before that next session. And I just wanted to say it is so important to just allocate a bit of time to make sure that you do meet that, so you do remember to do the action point you have for the next session. And Chris, you had mentioned to diarise some time just to spend on that action point. I think that's a really, really helpful comment and really, really useful. So we are now at the Q&A session. If you do have any questions you would like to ask Chris or myself, please put it in the chat, and also you could come off camera, but it's probably easier for us just to do it on the chat. So we do already have one question, and I also had a few people email in beforehand, so I've got some questions from there as well. But is there a cost or fee to participate in the ACT programme? No, this is one of the member benefits. So we have lots of things that we provide members as part of their package, and that's members in the broadest sense. So an e-affiliate, a student member, an associate, a fellow. This is all part of the membership package. So going on to the ACT kind of resources page, and I've put the link on this session, and just going on there, going to the mentoring scheme, and then you just sign up and start your relationship and tell people what you want help with. So there is no cost to it. Thank you for asking that. One of the other questions I had beforehand was to do with in-company mentoring schemes and the ACT's mentoring scheme. And the question was around this particular member already being part of their company mentoring scheme, and debating and thinking about whether they would like to go on to do the ACT's mentoring scheme. You might want to jump in a minute, Chris, but I just thought I'd answer this. So the ACT mentoring scheme links treasurers with treasurers. So it is a mentoring scheme for members of the ACT. So everyone who is on there, whether you're a mentor or a mentee, has experience of treasury. You may not be working in a corporate treasury role. It could be you're a consultant or a banker or someone who's working with treasurers, but everyone will be a member. So we'll have an association with treasury. And that is what is unique with our scheme, because it's members helping members. An in-house scheme, you may be matched with someone from your treasury team, but often the treasury teams are quite small, so it tends to be someone from outside the wider kind of treasury function. So the difference between an in-house scheme is that will be probably a relationship with someone who isn't necessarily in treasury, and also someone who is very used to that particular company's way of doing things, whereas the ACT's mentoring scheme is very much about members helping members, and depending on who you would like, you can actually sort your mentor or mentee by country, as well as by the area that you need help in. So you could find someone who's doing a very similar role to you, but in a competitor company, and you might want to just see whether they are approaching things the same way and build that relationship that way. So it's a slightly different kind of mentoring scheme, and the objectives will be slightly different. I'm not sure whether you want to jump in with anything else, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a lot of experience of working across professional bodies, and I think the real benefit the professional body brings, probably twofold, is some organisations won't have an in-company mentoring scheme.
Yeah.
And in that respect, your professional body, in this case ACT, is providing that service. So in effect, you're going to be able to access mentors. But the other big thing, as Louise mentioned, is you're going to get that external perspective. So what I find is, you sometimes get a bit of a sort of like ecosystem. We may have some very large organizations who might have a mentoring platform, but their work, the benefit the professional body is giving is an external perspective. You can go onto a platform, you can meet mentors, mentees from different organizations. If there's something either you can't access in terms of an area of skill or expertise in your organization, or you don't feel comfortable with that, doing that within your organization, you can step out of that and you can connect with people from other organizations in terms of sharing that experience, which I think is a great benefit.
Great. I've got one other question that was emailed in beforehand, and that's to do with typical timeframes. So in terms of mentoring relationships, is there a kind of typical timeframe that a relationship would normally last? And is there ever a point where the relationship could potentially become, for want of a better word, stale? Is there an optimum, I suppose, time frame?
Yeah, I mean, the way I would normally, well, my normal answer to that question is, and if this analogy works, is when you meet for the first time as two individuals, it's at that point you'll get a better understanding in terms of particularly what the issue the mentee has, what they're hoping to get in terms of advice. It's at that point you'll start to think about, how many sessions might we need? And that could be really short. I mean, one of the benefits of the platform is you're not constrained to a particular time limit. You may get some great benefit out of spending a few hours on the telephone with someone over a week or two. Alternatively, you know, the platform definitely supports more traditional mentoring relationships. But once you've had that first meeting, you understand what the goals are, and you've then got to start to think about how many sessions might we need and what is our availability. And it's only when you put all those together you're going to get the time frame. So some people might be able to meet once a week, other people maybe not. Maybe, you know, when I've been in mentoring relationships looking for career support in organizations I've worked for, that person might only be accessible once a month, which means the relationship could last 6 months. If somebody's available once a week, going to shorten the timescale. So I wouldn't worry too much about timescale, but what I definitely would think about is putting thought early on into what you want to achieve. And then that comes back to your other question, Louise, around a relationship getting stale. The relationship sort of like will get stale if the meetings start to become like nice conversations, where it's better to do is basically set some goals, set some timings, and a time frame around those goals, revisit the goals as you meet to make sure that they've been progressed. And as I mentioned before, either at a point you've finished those goals or you feel you can't go any further, that's the point to close off the mentoring relationship. And then there's two individuals, if you then want to keep in touch with each other, get in contact around something, that's absolutely fine. You know, you've made the contact now. But my view is that would stop the sessions just moving on without much purpose.
Yeah, and in fact that's very helpful, because actually there's nothing to stop you going back and getting another mentor, because potentially you could have a different person with a slightly different perspective. So if you do feel that it's come to a sort of natural close, then as you say, you can keep in touch with people. And many people who've gone through our scheme, actually when you see them at things like the annual conference, they're friends now, you know, they're colleagues, they know each other because they've been through this relationship. Even if they haven't, they are no longer kind of mentoring, or you know, they no longer have the mentor-mentee relationship, that they've moved on from that in a way. And actually you can always go back to the mentoring website and get another mentor. So actually that works as well. Mohammed has said that he is going to sign up for the mentoring program, which is wonderful, and that he's been out of he's been in the Middle East for 20 years, that he's had a long career break, and that he would like someone to guide him post-COVID on his weaknesses. So go to the website, have a look at what the parameters are, and then you will be matched with a mentor, and hopefully there'll be one that works for you. And actually, if you find that the person that you're matched with after 1 or 2 sessions, it's just not working, you can go and find another mentor. So it's a very flexible scheme, but it's definitely worth speaking to someone. And you could actually put in the Middle East, so put in country specific parameters, so that you match with someone who is close to you geographically, and that might be helpful as well, because they will understand what's happening in your region. So that's a good thing to do. I have one other external question, and hopefully if anyone has any questions, please just pop it in the chat, and that's to do with how to do the mentoring relationship. So a few people have said that, is it more effective to meet face to face, or you know, is it perfectly okay to just run a mentoring relationship online? Chris, before you jump in, I just wanted to say, over COVID, obviously, I think as a result of COVID, I think our view of how to build relationships has changed slightly, and what we can do with things like this, webinar chats, or Zoom and Microsoft Teams and various other resources, as well as just simply on the telephone. I think our idea of what we can do with this has changed, because we have been so efficient at working from home, I suppose. So my feeling about this is that you can have very effective and efficient mentoring relationships without having to meet face to face. But obviously, if it's convenient to meet face to face, then there is something nice about meeting up with your mentor or mentee, but that would all depend on location and availability and various other things. But I don't think it disadvantages you at all by not meeting face to face. But Sorry, I jumped in there, Chris.
Oh, no. I mean, I think that's absolutely right. I suppose, one of the things that digital technology, I suppose, increasing of use in digital technology since COVID, and the platform gives you is that reach and scalability. So absolutely, you can go onto the platform, you can state a preference around how you would like to meet, how you would like to conduct your meetings. But what you will find is that you'll be able to connect with people across the platform in different regions that otherwise, previously you wouldn't have been able to do that really. The platform's got some specific support and advice around virtual meetings, getting the best out of mentoring through a virtual relationship. So absolutely, as Louise says, great if you can meet face to face. That's great, but you won't you won't lose the benefits by conducting the whole relationship virtually.
I agree. We have a question in the chat to do with start dates for the programme, and is there a deadline to sign up? This is just available via our website, and you can start it whenever it works for you, and end the relationship, whenever it's appropriate for you within your mentoring relationship to end it. So there is no start and end date. It is just a freely available member resource. So just go to the website and sign up whenever it's worthwhile. And if there are any issues at all, there is information on how to contact us at the ACT so that we can help you to match and to get the relationship kind of up and running and working as well as it possibly can. Those were all my questions, all the pre requested questions. So I'm just looking through my notes and making sure I haven't missed anything out. Does anyone else have any questions, or more generally questions about the ACT's mentoring scheme as well as just mentoring? Because we would be happy to answer any other questions, and if not, we can close the webinar. I think maybe that's silent. Any questions or queries, please just contact the membership team on membership@treasurers.org. We're a very friendly bunch, so you can come and ask us any questions and we would be very happy to help. Chris, thank you so much for your presentation and for taking the time to speak to our members. This will be available on the website so people can have a look at it as well in the future. And thank you to everyone who attended. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Louise.
So we can stop recording.